Death is your friend.
Oh.
Straight up the Grim Reaper.
Okay.
You ask Death.
Yeah.
Death, is this something I should be worried about?
Ooh.
If Death says, I'm coming for you next Wednesday, Sharita, let this shit go.
Yes.
You could let it go.
100%.
But if Death says, I'm coming for you next Wednesday, Sharita, I need you to get this shit fixed.
So should we always look at it like that? Is that the game or the narrative that we should start creating so that we could start facing our fears better?
I think it's step one.
Okay.
But remember, because we're putting these in correct proportion, some of your fears can be immediately let go of.
Yes. Okay.
It's a narrative that you've blown out of proportion.
Okay.
Some of them may be Death saying, yes, this is going to be a big deal when I come for you next Wednesday.
Death Takes a Holiday makes me think of that movie. Yeah.
And when you hear that,
And
you're
Joe
like,
Black.
yeah, okay, I guess I probably do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's an easy step. It's just find the proportion of your fear.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, now if you find one that has a proportion that has value that needs to be explored, we're going to go back to your narrative.
Okay.
What you have to do is take your narrative, where you're at, what is it you think you're fearing, like quitting a job, leaving a spouse, moving to a different state, anything that you've been avoiding or you don't want to do because it truly is a fear, or something you've been worried about, something you constantly worry about. I worry about losing a child. Every single time the child goes out, drives the car. Of course there's worry, but if it's debilitating you and it's causing you to lose sleep or you can't stay engaged in life, right?
Right.
Then you need to play the game.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And the game is you take it all the way to the end. So you take the decision. So let's say I'm going to quit my job.
Okay.
Okay? And they say, okay, so you quit your job.
Yeah.
Then what? Okay, I quit my job and I don't know, I get another job. Then what? I hate it. Then what? Okay. I'm miserable. Then what? Well, I guess I quit that job. Then what? Well, now I'm poor. Then what?
Okay.
Well, I have to move out of my house. Then what? I'm in a motel. Then what? I'm now a prostitute.
Oh my gosh.
And you may find that you're coming up with stupid things. Like, why all of a sudden did you leap from now you're a prostitute? But let's say you even want to play this stupid game, now I'm a prostitute. Then what? I guess I get killed. Well, the end of the story. So you can start to see some of your ridiculous leaps.
Okay. Yeah.
That don't make any sense.
Yep.
And they're not really going to happen.
Right.
You're probably not going to quit your job and become a prostitute.
Correct.
You might be able to see that was a ridiculous leap. Or you may be able to see in the end, whatever the reality is probably not going to be as bad as you thought it if you really played the narrative all the way through.
Right. Okay. I like that. I like that game.
It's a good little game.
Yeah. The what if game. Wow. Had I applied that to some stuff beforehand?
I know.
Yeah.
Now, the good thing is if you play the what if game, you have to play it fairly both ways.
Okay, what's the other way then?
You have to be a good coach. So we just played the what if game. What if everything just kept going bad?
Oh, okay.
But what if everything started going good?
Ooh, I like that one better.
What if I quit my job and I got another job?
Yeah.
And that job was spectacular. And then that job introduced me to a famous person. Okay. And that person said, "You're so beautiful, Allison. I would just like to hang out with you." And I want to pay you. And I'm like, oh, God, prostitute again.
Oh, my gosh.
But they're like, no. Yeah. Really, I just think you're funny. And I just want to hang out.
I just want to kick it with you.
Now I'm just a funny prostitute.
Yeah.
That's all I'm being... So
that's not doing anything.
That's not doing anything.
Yeah.
You have to play the narrative both ways.
Okay.
So how do you play that narrative?
Yes.
That narrative only requires one question you ask yourself.
What is the question?
Okay.
Yeah.
The question is, if you could succeed in what you're desiring, 100%.
Okay.
What does that look like?
Ooh, I like that.
So in this decision you're making,
okay,
that you're fearing, if you could and you knew it was going to succeed, what does that look like?
delicious. It's a delicious ending for me. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So you can change these narratives. You can change it all the way to the worst case scenario to realize it's probably not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
To the scenario of my dream.
So should we always do both? Should we play it both ways?
Sure.
For like, because if you played it one way and not the other, it would be totally unbalanced, right? So you want to play it both ways so you can kind of weigh that.
I think you should.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you should, because every decision we make is a little bit of a gamble.
Oh, yeah. It is a risk. Yeah. I like that, though.
Yeah. And to tell people, oh, you shouldn't fear, that's never going to happen. I mean, that's bullshit. I mean,
yeah,
I've left jobs that are like, uh-oh. Okay, I'm a little moment there.
Correct.
So I try not to do things rash.
Yeah.
You know, I try to take my time.
Okay.
I try not to cut my hair when I'm PMSing.
Yes, those types of things are important.
Yeah.
I try not to. If I know I'm tired, I try not to make an important decision, because I know how my brain works when I'm tired.
Yeah.
So yeah, being aware. Yeah.
When you're tired, you're gonna. Fear loves tiredness.
Oh man.
Because it's gonna win. Remember, fear's competitive. Ego's competitive.
Yes.
So if it's got you tired, it's gonna win. Mm-hmm. If it's got you off balance in your hormones, it's going to win. Yeah. So you always are having to look at what's going on. And anytime an ego's got an unfair playing ground, it's going to use it. You've got to get yourself back rested, hydrated, in a good place. So that you can actually combat the ego.
Yes. Yeah. So we should refrain from making important decisions when we're tired or when we're in fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense to say it now, but for some reason we get in those situations and all of that shit goes out the window. Like, it's like, I don't remember anything anybody told me, and yeah. Oh,
that happens to me every single time I jump off a boat and go diving. Or, well, I said that like I'm really cool. I don't dive.
Okay.
Snorkel.
Okay.
Which is such a stupid term. I snorkel. However, my family loves going to islands. They love boating. So I'm always put in the situation over and over and over again. They make me jump in holes to the center of the earth. Yes, I've done that. Wow. My sister asked me the last time I did it, she goes, oh, well, are you glad you did it? And I'm like, no. I'm not glad I did it all. I hated every damn minute of it.
Well, why did you do it? Was it a peer pressure?
I do it because my family enjoys it.
Okay.
And I don't want to be left... See, fear. My fear of being left behind is worse than my fear of doing it.
Of jumping in the hole inside of a shark's mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need to be with them when they all die. I need to be with them when they die. Well, not really. I don't want to do that. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I make my husband hold my hand the whole time.
Okay.
And then he forgets. And he leaves me.
Yeah.
And I told him the last time that Kid Rock would not let go of my hand. And I think he had some choice words to say about that.
Yeah.
But my point is, my narrative is ridiculous when I jump in the water. Mm-hmm. I firmly believe that I'm in the water for 15 minutes before the next person jumps in. If I go back and rewatch it on somebody's phone, it's like 3 seconds.
Got you. Wow. So fear can make, I can see that fear can make time last a lot longer than what it does.
It gives us such terrible information, unrealistic information.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's easy to be caught up in the moment of fear and lose what is reality.
So when we are caught up in that moment and lose what is reality, like, how can we jolt ourselves back to reality? Because sometimes it's like a fish. Sometimes fear, you can like bite the hook and run. And before you realize it, you're so far out in left field, you don't even know where the hell you are. Yeah. And it was based on fear. And none of that shit is real. Like, correct. Okay.
Well, I'm like a broken record in these podcasts, but you know what my first thing I'm going to tell you to examine.
We learn by repetition always.
Breath. So your breath is connected to your central nervous system. Yes. Your central nervous system is connected to your rest and digest. Okay. Or fight or flight. Yes. So if your breath is off, it's going to send a message that you should go in fight or flight. Okay. Fight or flight is used for fear. Yes. Should I flee because this is so bad? Should I take off running? Or is it so bad that I should fight? So I'm either going to freeze and feel paralyzed in my life, or I'm going to feel extremely angry and fight with this person.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of that can be fixed before we choose that reaction by examining our breath, because it could just be an anatomical shift that we can make for ourselves.
Okay.
If we've done the breath, because trust me, holy shit, I have done this breath thing now for about 2 weeks. And I'm still sitting with fear. So I get it. And breath doesn't fix everything.
Right.
I do my little breathing. I run a yoga studio, so God knows I'm doing my breathing.
Yes.
And I still find that I'm sitting with this same fear, this underlining fear of a decision.
Yeah.
So when that happens, we need to go to these ancient techniques.
Okay.
I'm working at right now, if I could dream, if I could have exactly the way I want it and it would succeed, I'm trying to give myself permission to follow that narrative.
Okay. Ooh, I like what you said. You're trying to give yourself permission to follow that narrative.
Yes. I'm scared to even follow that narrative because my ego's in there saying, but that won't work. But that won't work.
Right.
That's Pollyanna. That's puppet talk.
Right. Huh. Okay.
So I'm trying to give myself permission to dream and to say, okay, if I was to choose this and I knew I would succeed, I'm going to succeed. So if I choose this and I know I'm going to succeed, what does that look like?
Okay.
That's a hard narrative to give yourself permission to do.
Why is it so much harder for us to give ourselves permission to go after something that has a very positive ending versus us wanting to completely surrender and submit to that's going to give us a terrible ending? Oh,
okay. Hands down, I think Brene Brown might be the one who has said this, but I don't think she's the only person who has said this. We think we can prepare for suffering. We think if we prepare for fear, then it won't be as bad. I just had this conversation with my mom.
Oh, wow.
My mom really feels like she's having extreme memory loss, and it's causing her extreme amount of fear.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I'm like, Mom, you're fearing something that hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
And she's like, well, I need to get prepared.
Ah, wow.
And I said, but Mom, you could be hit in a car accident in 2 days.
Yeah.
And you've been busy preparing for this suffering that's not even happening yet.
Absolutely.
So I think why it's so hard for us is we feel like if I go ahead and prepare for the suffering, it won't hurt as bad. Okay. But that's completely not true. You cannot prepare for suffering.
No, that's very true. So, okay. So can you wrap this all up in a nice package where we will understand when we come across fear, what are the steps like boom, boom, boom that we should do?
Okay. Fear.
Yeah.
1, name the fear. That's hard to do.
Okay.
Because you may not even be using the word fear. You may be using change. You may be using desires, boundaries, expectations. Oh, we have all kinds of words we love to use. But bottom line is it's fear. Okay. The ego has told us we don't have enough of something or we have too much of something. Or somewhere in there is a shortage or a deficit. Okay. Okay. So we need to figure out what the fear is. If you can't figure out what the fear is, play the narrative. Okay. Then what happens, then what happens, then what happens, then what happens, and you may get to the end to realize what you're really fearing. Okay. In the end, you may be fearing, I will be left alone. Or I'm fearing poverty. Or I'm fearing no worth. And you will be able to notice that that's a fear you've probably had since a child. Okay. And you're like, oh, that's the fear. And is that a true reality? Right. Okay. You could also use ask death. That's going to help you keep it in proportion. So if you're fearing people don't like me or something I said, or death could say, oh, for God's sake, Sharita, literally let that go. That is insignificant. You're going to be gone next Wednesday. I need you to think about bigger things. Right. Yes. But lastly, I think the most important thing is when you're sitting with a worry, what if you painted a success? Okay. What if you said, what happens if I choose this and I'm guaranteed that it's going to work out? What does that look like? That one. Lastly, is if you're fearing suffering to come, stop, because there is no preparation for suffering to come. Wow. You're going to have to just experience it. There's no way you can prepare for a loss of a child. There is no way you can prepare for a loved one passing. There is no way you can prepare for being diagnosed with cancer. There is no way you can prepare